What's going on, you guys? It's Ariel here. Welcome back to the Gamer's Respite, where I have Marc Deschamps. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You're going to have to tell me because I suck at pronouncing people's names. So if you want to pronounce your name, please let me know.
So it's like, this is such a funny, like, weird thing, but like, there's not like a great way to pronounce it. You went with Deschamps, which is like the French pronunciation, and like my dad has totally like leaned into that in the last couple of years. I usually just say Deschamps, but like I also use Deschamps for like everything, like all my social media things, and it probably throws off everybody on pronunciation on top of that. So you did great.
Oh, okay. I always worry because there's always like an accent or something, and I like last names especially always intimidate me because like especially when people say my last name Dannon and they say, "Oh, is that yogurt?" I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. And there's no O in there. Trust me. But we have Marc Deschamps here for this podcast today. And I'm really excited because he's a part of Nintendo Joe. He was a part of, I want to say, what was it? Why is this slipping my mind right now? IGN for a brief time. You used to work with them, and now you're trying to apply back, which is super exciting. And you are now part of Game Rant too.
So I started at Nintendo Joe. I was a staff writer at Comic Book covering almost exclusively gaming for 6 years, and I've freelanced at IGN, and I've freelanced at Game Rant, and all kinds of stuff. So.
Nice. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Welcome on it. Seriously. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So today we're going to kick it off with talking about what we're playing right now. What is it that currently has you in a headlock in terms of gaming?
Probably have like some undiagnosed ADHD because I'm constantly playing like multiple games and bouncing back and forth. I've been playing since they brought Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green back. I've been playing a ton of Fire Red. I've been dipping a little into Pokopia because I just love Pokemon, but I'm not good at like building stuff at all. I'm like at the very end of Star Wars Outlaws, which I really enjoyed, and I'm like at the very end, and I just know that I have to like set aside like probably like 2 hours for the finale or whatever. And then I just finished a review for Marvel Maximum Collection for my YouTube channel.
Very nice. That is a lot of bouncing around. It's fun though. Honestly. It's so much. And that's the thing too of like, especially when you're working in the games industry, I found you're always constantly bouncing around between every other type of project all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been reviewing games for over 10 years now. And so, like, I'm just used to that pace of, like, I'm playing this game. I'm going to have to stop playing this game because I'm going to have to jump into reviewing this. And then I might jump back into that, or I'll start whatever new game that I want to play. And then and the cycle just goes on like that.
It's true. I mean, at the time that I was playing Resident Evil 9, I was also working on notes for my Mass Effect trilogy review. And, like, I was like, it was chaotic. And, like, as soon as I finished Pokopia, I feel like a gaping hole was left where Pokopia was because I love that game so much. It is so good. It's my game of the year, honestly.
I just am not good at like my brain doesn't like work in the way of like I really like Animal Crossing. I really like Disney Dreamlight Valley, but like my towns always look crummy. Like it's just I've just never been inventive like that. So like Pokopia, I've enjoyed what I've played, but like I see other people's builds and like immediately I'm like depressed.
I'm just like, what? How did you get it to look that organized? Like all of my things, all of my storage containers in there are just a hot mess. It's also ridiculous.
You mentioned Resident Evil Requiem. I bought that day one and like I have not started it yet. I was about to start it, and I'm like, oh my god, you have so many other games you're playing. Like, finish something and then do that.
Also, the backlog is staring at you like, how dare you do this to me?
It's absurd. Like, it's so bad.
It is, and that's the thing, too, of where I feel like, especially during release seasons like this, spring and summer periods, and over the holidays, we have these peak release times of where there are 4 or 5 games releasing at once, and I'm thinking, how do, like, if you're not working in the game industry, how do you afford it if you are a day one buyer of all of these different types of titles?
I think at this point, it's like if you're not in this industry, it's really hard to like do it. And I think I mean, if you look at the sales data, I don't think people can do it the way they used to.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, and it makes it tougher on the person because let's say this never happened, but let's say Resident Evil 9, Pocopia, I don't know, a new attorney like Ace Attorney, a new like Mario, let's say all of those released at the same time and you have a fan of all of those, that would be like over $500.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially now how everything's going up.
Yeah, exactly. So, one question I do have for you when it comes to new releases and everything, are you a day one person depending on the game or because of work? Like, do you mostly get a lot of your titles sent to you?
So I'm at a point where I don't get as much sent to me as I used to, unfortunately. But it has also kind of freed up my time a little bit. I was able to get a review code for Marvel Maximum Collection, which was amazing, and
Nice.
I was really excited for that. Um, I was, reviewing a lot more than I've been, in the last, 9 months or so. Um, I am like a day oneer when I can. Like Pocopia, I had to pick up day one. Resident Evil, I picked up day one, and I've barely gotten to those, which is so bad. It's such a bad habit.
It's not that it's bad. It's just the way this kind of industry is. And the thing is like, I hate separating because technically we are consumers of the art that we are taking part of making. Like, we didn't make the games, but we're doing the guides, we're writing the articles, all that kind of thing.
Right.
So, like, we are consumers, but also I'm talking about like, if someone is just, they're not in this industry, they don't know the stats or the numbers or the tech or anything like that. Just like, oh, I want that game. It's pretty. It looks cool. There's people finding out whatever the case may be, or they're getting it for their kid, they're going to see the price tag and not think like, whoa, that's reasonable. They're going to think, whoa, this is expensive for something that they might only play once.
Absolutely. And I get it. Like I get it. I was very lucky that I got to review the Nintendo Switch 2 last year.
That's
So like
amazing.
it
Congratulations,
was
by the
meant to
way.
me. Oh my God, it was incredible. It was like such a cool thing. And like I totally get people that have waited. Like I have several friends who are like, I'm not buying that until, Pokemon wins in waves or like right. And like I totally get it. If I hadn't got to review it, would have bought it on day one. I had a pre-order in. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And that's the thing
I,
of where like I got, what was it? I coded mine in all green right now. But by the way, viewers, can you tell what is my favorite color? But when it comes to the Switch, I feel like this is the most innovative piece of tech that Nintendo has done so far. It is phenomenal, and I want to be able to talk more about the Switch 2 with you. But I did not get this day one. I actually was very much against getting it at first because I was like, unless it's Dusk Bloods, I'm not interested. And then Nintendo decided to come out with a surprise and suddenly be consumer friendly. And they posted about Fire Red and Leaf Green. Now, I want to know what your thoughts are because I have lots of them.
so fire, it's such a weird thing. Like I knew it wasn't going to happen. Like it being the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, I desperately wanted a nice physical collection that had like the old Game Boy games and had Pokemon Home compatibility and like a nice art book. I got none of that. And like I set myself up because I know how the Pokemon Company is. I have been to the Pokemon Company's like headquarters. I know how they are. I know how they do business. I knew I was setting up myself up for like be a little let down. And then it's like, oh, we're re-releasing Fire Red and Leaf Green. It's digital only. And like there's like no bells and whistles. There's like gonna be home compatibility eventually. I was just like I went from here to like you know, and all that being said, I bought it immediately. I have been really genuinely shocked how into it everybody is. And it's been weird. Like I have been into it. I am glad that they. It's funny because I bought Fire Red. I bought actually Leaf Green when it came out in 2004. I had it. Um, and I liked it, but like I was such a big fan of like blue yellow that like I don't know, like there were like the changes were kind of weird, and I didn't love it when it first came out. So it was weird to like go and revisit it. And now I'm like, oh, I can appreciate it more. And like I kind of do like that there's some like quality of life changes. Like you got the running shoes and like bite is a dark type attack and things like that. And like I've put 24 hours into it or whatever at this point. Like I just finally beat Giovanni, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad they redid this, they re-released this, and it's been so wild seeing everybody that like I know, like every friend that I have on Switch like has bought these games.
It's such a nostalgia piece because it's like, yeah, they're re-releasing our childhood to a degree. And I never got to play Fire Red and Leaf Green when I was a kid. I saw it out. I saw its existence, but my first experience of Pokemon playing a video game was Crystal. And I still have it. I've seen how much it's worth. I'm never selling that little beauty ever. But it's one of those wonderful things of where I'm currently in the process of doing a review for Pokopia, and that's going to be pieces of footage that's going to be in the review video. Is Leaf Green is kind of like a harkening back to what the series was, and when I started playing it, it reminded me of, wow, this is actually like, this is timeless. This gaming is really timeless. And you would give this to like a 10 or 15-year-old, and it would be an entire adventure for them. So one thing I'm curious about is, in your experience with playing it, did it lessen the disappointment that you felt not getting the physical release at all?
It did. Like, and I know at the end of the day, like I'm a dinosaur when it comes to like physical releases. I mean, like
I,
you can see behind
yeah,
me, like
yeah, I love it.
I like physical games. I've always liked physical media. It's you own it. It's you can crack open the box and appreciate the art and all this stuff. And I get it. I do wish they'd done a little bit more, like made
I
it a
do too.
little fancier. But at the same time, it's been cool seeing everybody's reaction. Like it's wild. Like I like I said, I freelance at Game Rant. It's so wild to see just how many articles are being posted for walkthroughs and sharing people's different accomplishments. Like there was somebody the other day who had posted that they beat the Elite Four rematch using an all baby Pokemon team.
Oh my god.
I'm like, it's crazy. It feels like Pokemon's having like a moment right now.
It really is. Like
Like
before, like I was questioning whether or not it should have taken a little bit of a hiatus. But I thought to myself, okay, like let them cook. Like right now they are doing some massive things currently. Like with Pokopia and with like I don't know. With Pokopia it was weird because I couldn't get past the Ditto face on a human. It looked very uncanny valley to me. But when I saw it, I was like, okay, this has the potential to be something absolutely huge, and it is. And both of those releasing in such a similar time frame, it was just a nostalgia whiplash of sorts, because you had the Fire Red and Leaf Green, you have the Pokopia, you have all of these different things. You have the 30th anniversary, which I feel old, by the way, just saying,
oh
of
yeah,
Pokemon.
for sure,
Like it's all,
absolutely.
yeah, no, just a lot. I mean, I'm 33. Like it's just a tiny bit. So it's just odd seeing a younger generation getting into this, and all of us now getting to cover the games that we used to play as kids. Like what's your thought on that? Like getting to cover games that we used to play like in our childhood.
I'm so fortunate. Like that's my thought on that. Like there have been many times in my career where I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like it's surreal. And like sometimes like the reaction and the reception, and sometimes like it takes a minute to like sink in. Like, there are times like when I got to do a preview for I'm gonna want to Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, nice.
I couldn't remember. I wanted to say Skyward Sword, and I'm like, that's not right. When I got to do a preview for Tears of the Kingdom, like that immediately, I'm like, I'm playing a Zelda game for like anybody else in the world. Like that was crazy. And like Super Mario Brothers Wonder, like when I first played that, like I went to a preview event for that. I really enjoyed it. Like it wasn't like it didn't feel that big. And then when I actually reviewed it, like when I got to review it and be one of the first people to review it, was like, okay, this is huge. Like this is a new 2D Mario game. Like I grew up with Mario. Like this is weird. So there is like a surrealness to when you get to like write about these things and be one of the first people to communicate to other people and tell them like, hey, this is awesome, or like, hey, this is really bad. Fortunately, I feel like I've gotten to more often say like, hey, this is really good. Um, but part of the job is also being like, hey, this sucks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like having it's it also kind of hurts because it's just like you really want to like the thing that
Yeah.
is really sucking so bad. It's just like I wanted to like you. I wanted to, but you're not like giving me any room. And that's how I know I say it before and people are gonna be like, oh, she's gonna bring this up again. But that's how I felt playing Fallout 3 for the first time. And at first I liked it, but I was like, I'm not enjoying this as much as I thought I would. This is really bad. Like this is not good. And I really enjoyed New Vegas, and I somewhat enjoyed Fallout 4. I still need to finish it though. It's crying at me in my backlog right now. But I really need to finish it because I do enjoy it for what it is right now. But especially the dog, like to be so fortunate to be able to write on the things that we used to play as kids. Like that's how I felt with Resident Evil 9, because Resident Evil 1 Remake was the first game I ever played at all.
Oh, I love
And
Resident Evil 1 remake.
it's so good. It's so
It's
good.
one of my all-time favorite games.
They-
Game
This
the game
is
on GameCube.
See, yes, yes. See, this is why we're
Yeah,
friends, honestly.
yeah, absolutely.
But it's so
So
cool.
good.
It's so good, and it's. I think probably, and I stand on this hill where it is the best remake that has ever been done in the history of gaming.
You're probably right. Like, I don't know that I've ever thought about what's the best remake in gaming, but like, what's incredible about that game, and I think sometimes the way the industry works, we lose track of time in a weird way because the leaps are so wild all over the place. And like, you look at the original Resident Evil came out in 1996, and it looks the way it does. And this is no diss on the original Resident Evil because I like the old ones. But you look at Resident Evil remake that came out in 2002. So there was a 6-year gap. And it is a mind blowing leap. And those graphics hold up. Like, I mean, they polished them a little bit, like on modern platforms. Like, that game is essentially the same as it was when it came out on GameCube in 2002, and it is still beautiful.
It's great to look at the way Jill's face is, like the polish of the face, the way that like Barry looks like. You still have those funny moments. I do wish they would have kept the line in from the 1996 game. Be careful, Jill, there's monsters in there. I wish they would have kept that. like just to have some of the snarky remarks. I'm glad that they had the sandwich line. I'm glad that they had like, all the iconic things. Like, is it perfect? No, but it is very close to what a perfect remake is. Like Resident Evil 2 remake, when it comes to that remake, I think it's almost to perfection as well because they kept the core of what makes Resident Evil Resident Evil. What I would say in like contradistinction of what isn't a good remake in the Resident Evil series is number 3. What are your
I
thoughts?
like it.
Really?
I
Oh,
do. I do like it.
oh,
But so I have to say this. It has been like 2 decades since I played the original 3, and I played the remake of 3 last year, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it.
interesting. Okay, okay. It's fair. I mean, the thing is that the graphics and the way it's done, I feel like it's really, really good. For me, I think it was the Nemesis and the way that the story was done, and the fact that they didn't include some of the puzzles from the police station. Because I'm a
Okay.
big like puzzle person when it comes to like the consistency. And Resident Evil 4. I know people are going to hate me for that, but I didn't like Resident Evil 4 remake as much as I thought it would. It's good. It's just they changed the story a bit.
So I have like this is going back like being a reviewer and everything. I have shrink wrap copies of 2 and 4 that are untouched. And last year I had like the option. I had the option. So I'm a parent, and so finding time to game a lot of times. And this is why I love the Switch so much. getting time the game is so hard, especially when it's like, oh, I have to sit in front of a console, in front of a dedicated TV. And if it's like, an M-rated game, I have to wait till like the kids are asleep. Not that my kids haven't seen, but but still. So, it is what it is. So it's really hard sometimes to dedicate a lot of time to an M-rated game. And I had like a window last year where like my kids were like out of town with my wife for like a couple of days, and I was like, okay, I'm going to knock out like a Resident Evil, and like I knew two was like slightly longer than three. I'm like, I'm going with the three remake. So
Fair.
you know, it's parenting problems.
I mean, yeah, being able to like sit down, like you said, like just with a dedicated game while you have little ones that need constant attention. It's rough. It's rough. I mean, like I don't know how you guys do it. I really don't. But
Well, I mean,
it's
like
fun.
the home button on Switch is like the greatest thing ever
It
because I can
is.
be playing Fire Red and I could be in the middle of Pokemon battle and it's like, oh, I have to hit the home button because my oldest needs her medicine or whatever. So like Switch is like the greatest system ever if you're a parent.
Like, you know what? I completely understand that because I am a part-time caretaker for my dad. So I completely get that. I will be in the middle
So
of work
yeah,
and yeah, I know, I understand. It's like having a bigger child. Sorry, dad.
exactly.
It's like one of those cool things too of where it's like they are providing I would call it an accessibility feature, not sure if that would be the right terminology for it, of quicker ways to make people's lives easier while you're doing the thing that you love in a sense.
Sure.
Yeah. So one of the other topics I wanted to dive in was the Switch too. Now you said that you got the chance to review the Switch when it came out. I would love to know your experience about that, but I also want to know, since it's been a little bit since release, what do you think of the console itself now that it's been a little bit?
So yeah, I really like it. I really enjoy the system. The It's been really nice to play, major third party games that don't feel like a compromise. Um, you know, I was always willing to make that compromise with Switch. And, I own a PS5 and I own an Xbox Series X. But if something came out on Switch that was on those systems, I would buy it on Switch, even though I knew it was going to be a step back because the convenience factor was just so high. Um, yeah, so I would always do that, but I knew, I'm gonna take some hits on frame rate, and I've never been a big frame rate guy, but I know when it's chugging, it's chugging. Um, and there's gonna be graphic compromises. It's really incredible to play, games like Star Wars Outlaws on my Switch too, and it looks great and it runs smoothly and like the jumps, like I know that if I played this on my, PS5 or Xbox Series X, it's going to look better. It's not going to look much better. Like it's the jump is so small. Like it doesn't feel like a compromise anymore.
That's good because even when one of my friends and moderators, he was playing RE9 on the Switch, and I'm thinking to myself, how is this going to run? Like this is a massive game. Like what? How? And it ran beautifully. It was amazing to watch. It was like watching it on a PS5 or a PC.
It's so nice to have that. Like that was always the drawback because I mean Switch is, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest systems Nintendo's ever put out. If not the greatest. Um and it feels like it fixes like the lone problem that, it realistically had. There are a couple things that like I'm nitpicky about. Like I had a 3DS. I love my 3DS. I love the themes on 3DS. The fact that like I can't get themes still on a Switch too is like, are you kidding? Like I want to pay you to have like a Pokemon background or a Zelda background. Why can't I pay you money like I did in the 3DS era for that? Like it's such a small nitpick, but it's like, come on.
It's more about like personalization, that kind of thing. Like I understand that like Nintendo wants to do these sleek minimalistic designs. I get that. But
Yeah,
even PS5 right now is coming out with more features for their backgrounds than they did when it first launched back in 2020. Oh god, 2020?
2020. Is that crazy?
I that's when COVID, that's when the panorama
panorama.
I need more coffee in my system. I'm sorry. Did I just call the pandemic a panorama? Oh my
You
god.
sure did, but that's okay.
I mean no offense by it, you guys. I'm keeping that in, holding myself accountable. But one thing is interesting though, when you now that you bring up wallpapers and different backgrounds and everything, what would be your go-to? Because I know, like for me, it's all like different sage greens and like leafy on.
So here's the thing that I love about my 3DS. 3DS had a shuffle theme feature, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I didn't buy a lot of themes, like, but I had like 10, 12 of them. I love that when I still turn my 3DS on, I have no idea what the background's going to be. It'll be Detective Pikachu. It'll be Sun and Moon. It'll be Yokai Watch. It'll be the Year of Luigi when they did that. Like, it's the Sonic the Hedgehog. I think it was the 25th anniversary. No, yeah, I think it was the 25th anniversary. So, like, I love that these things like randomly. So I would love that. Like, that would be my ideal.
Yeah, and and the thing is like when it comes to the Switch, like besides some of the wallpaper and some of the things that they've done, one thing I would say it's like my tiny nitpick for the console itself is to like turn the brightness down on some of the games. I see this a lot in video games, and I think it's more of just an accessibility thing. Whenever they have a bright screen, it's very bright, like it's a retina burning bright.
Yeah, I get it.
Like I like there was one part of what was it of Elden Ring when you were going in to fight Radagon and you have that bright white screen entrance. I want companies to think about it like for people who cannot handle that level of brightness, if there is a way to set it in the accessibility feature. Because right now there are
That'd be
certain
nice.
there are certain games that are actually like saying, oh, okay, well, maybe people don't want to, have their retinas burned. Maybe they would like to be able to see what they're doing. So they're starting to, account for that a little bit. But when it comes to accessibility or when it comes to any other features, besides, because aesthetics are important for the personality of the console, of the player who is interacting with said console, what are some things that you would like to see for future updates of any hardware or anything like that from Nintendo side?
I don't know. I've never been good at like this sort of thing. One thing that I do like in games is like this is terrible. The brightness settings, like I always like turn up higher when like it's like, oh, make it so you can only see like you can just barely see this thing. I'm always like cranking it up because I'm squinting at the screen sometimes. Like especially if it's on Xbox or PS5 because like at least with the Switch, like I can pull it up closer to my face. If it's on the TV screen, I'm like on my knees, like squinting at it. Like, oh, that's a detail for the game. Like, oh, I'm supposed to know that. Like, I needed that for a puzzle. So
I
like
love. That's the
I've
thing
always
about being a
appreciated.
millennial. We're getting older now, so we
Oh, absolutely.
gotta be able to see shit. And that's the thing too, where like people are going to just call us unk in the comments, and I'm ready for it personally.
But yeah, it is what it is.
I actually just found that out. That's how slow I am to certain trends. What unk actually meant. Like I know this is a tangent currently, but someone said, "Oh, you're such an unk" in one of my streams that I had, and I'm like, What's an unk?" And they were like, "Ariel, it means you're an uncle." I'm like, I don't know. Out. Get away. Go.
It's so funny though because like we're at this weird point with like people who do cover games and like work in the game industry is like if you've been covering games for a long time, like obviously like we're all hitting 30s and 40s. Like so like there's like this weird transitional thing. One of my favorite coworkers at comic book, we had like a 15-year difference between us and like we would rag on each other all the time about like the age gap. But like I loved working with him and it was like this weird like he was also like into games that I wasn't and it's like, oh, I will never forget this. He did not know what a fire flower was from Mario. Like the first Mario movie trailer came out. He was like, "What's the significance of like the flower that's on fire?" And I'm like, "You've got to be like you're messing with me." Like we were in the Slack, the work Slack, and I'm like, "There's no way you're being sincere right now." Like I couldn't get over it, and like could have dissolved, but like it's not like we're referencing like 40-year-old movie that hasn't been relevant. Like we're talking about Mario. Like I was so blown away.
Why, in your perspective, it is so popular right now? Because I know why. I know Mario is popular, but from the perspective of someone who's not as into it.
So it's I think Mario is just he's kind of Mickey Mouse, right? Like he's just there's a whole segment of the world where it's like Mario is my Mickey Mouse. Like if I'm being honest, like my wife is like a huge Disney head, and I like Disney. Don't get me wrong, but like Mickey is just like oh whatever. But like Mario is my Mickey. Like I have been playing Mario games since I was a super young kid, and like it's like one of my earliest memories is playing the original Mario Brothers. So like there's something really timeless about it. And like the thing about old Mario games is they hold up. Like if you give a kid Super Mario World, I think most kids are gonna like the 1991 Super Mario World for Super Nintendo. It holds up, and like not just like oh the gameplay, like the graphics look prettier than other games that are coming out today. Like I think there's a timelessness to Mario. And I think there's just something about I think honestly, I think what it comes down to is the quality. Nintendo doesn't ship bad Mario games. And like even Mario games that like I don't like love, there's still a level of quality. Like the new Super Mario Brothers like 2D games, like they're all kind of like generic. Like they kind of get like lost together. But if you sit and play one, it's like, oh, this is good. Like it's like gameplay is so smooth and rhythmic and like it's fun. Like a great example is I was writing for an article for Game Rant covering Super Mario Run, which is the iPhone like the mobile game, and I bought it in 2016, and Nintendo was at like a weird point in 2016. Like the Switch hadn't come out, they weren't in a great place. The shareholders wanted them to like abandon consoles and go all in on like mobile, and Nintendo compromised and was like, okay, we're gonna do a few mobile games, and this is gonna be the start of it. And like my brain was like, oh my god, I can't like this because I like Nintendo consoles. So I downloaded it to support them. And I like never finished it. And I like got away from it. And then Switch was a huge success, and it was forgotten. But I wrote about Super Mario Run for Game Rant, and I'm like, man, I haven't touched that in 10 years. I wonder if I could still download, and I could download it on my phone, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, okay, this is really good. And it's like, it's really good, and it's like, it's an infinite runner, but
you
like,
you sounded almost like you didn't want it to be that good.
I
You're just
didn't
like,
want to,
well,
like,
okay.
it's like a weird thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is good, and that's Nintendo for you. Like, their games are good. They're so applicable to such a wide audience, and they put their everything in, and even like games where you're like, really they're doing this, like they always end up being at the very least pretty good.
I can understand that, and that's the thing too, of where it's just like, I don't want to sound like a Mario hater. I really don't. But it's interesting to me because it's like I remember playing Mario when I was a kid on the on the Game Boy Color, and that was such a timeless thing to me because when I was homeschooled, I would always take like the Game Boy Color into the bathroom with me and just be like, I'm escaping from my work right now. There's nothing you can do about it, mother. Like it was it's such you're right, it is a timeless thing. But one of the things of where I would love to be able to see them pivot to, and maybe this is just a hopeful dream, but I would love to see more of a mature story for the fans who have followed them since their childhood. Because I mean, there's something to be said, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. There is something to be said for a company that grows with their audience over the years. And I feel like Mario can be capable of telling more mature stories in the zone that they are given, if that's the right word. You know what I mean?
I don't think you're ever gonna see it. Like I don't think that's how Nintendo operates. And like I think that Miyamoto specifically, and like obviously he's not as involved with the development anymore, but he's so much involved with steering the ship. I think he sees Mario as Mickey. I think that's the aspiration. And he had kind of said that, like, I want these characters to be timeless. And like, if you look at Mickey Mouse doesn't grow, right? Like, you see different takes on Mickey, but like, Mickey's always Mickey. And I think that's kind of how Mario and family are. And like, people go, oh, well, is he with Peach? Is he not with Peach? Well, it's what it is, right? Like, I guess I don't look for that. But that's where the movies are kind of interesting because we see them taking these creative liberties with these stories that they weren't doing with games. Like, we see them kind of defining things a little bit more. And like, we're not saying that what happens in the Illumination films is canon or anything, but like, you watch the first Mario movie and it's like, oh, Kong's created the Mario Karts. Like, something as simple as that. Like, we've never had a story where Mario Karts come from. Like, it's been right. It's been since 1992, and that's never even been a thought. Um, so it's just, I think we're getting at least a little definition, and we'll see if any of that ever carries over. Like, I'm a huge comic book guy, and like, if you're a comic fan, you see the way that like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or even DC's films or whatever, how those movies, those adaptations, it's possible we will see that with Nintendo's movies. Maybe they go, oh yeah, the Kongs invented it, and the carts, and that'll be some kind of story beat. Maybe it won't. It'll be interesting to see
It's
how that plays
interesting
out.
to think about too, because it's like I think it's just coming from a bias of me thinking like, well, I need to know where all these different things came from, and I need to know like, oh, where's Princess Peach from? I want to know her backstory, and I need to know where the Mario brothers came from. I want to know their backstory. But I think there is something to be said for letting things just exist for existing sake. You don't necessarily have to know the narrative of what this character was when they were like 5 years old. So there is a something to be said for that. What I am interested in, and let me know your thoughts on this, is when it comes to Mario as like a part of just the gaming ecosystem as a whole, do you think that because of the movies, more young people are going to be getting into the games now as a result?
Absolutely, and I think it's already happening. We haven't seen the numbers yet. I remember when the first movie came out, Nintendo released a bunch of sales figures, and they were talking about how all their old Mario Switch games were all of a sudden selling. And like,
Interesting.
not that they don't already, but they saw like a huge bump. And so it is interesting, like, because it is a gateway. And I think Miyamoto sees this, and I don't think Miyamoto's alone in that. You look at Sega with the Sonic movies, and with Paramount, they've really they've really changed where Sonic the Hedgehog was. Because if you go back to like, 2015, Sonic the Hedgehog was dead. That franchise was gone. I mean, it was obvious they were still putting games out. There was not general interest in Sonic. That series was being kept alive by a very dedicated fan base and no one else. And Sega, got together with Paramount, and obviously the the initial character design was a total disaster.
That was kind of paralysis demon type stuff.
But they got the first movie out with the redesigned character, and it was a huge success, and it understood the character. And like, total credit to like Jeff Fowler, who has directed these movies and really understands the core of Sonic. Because like, I see Sonic everywhere now. Like, I took my wife and I took our kids to dance this morning, and like, one of the kids was wearing a Sonic sweatshirt, and like, it's so cute. And like, my one nephew, like, always wearing Sonic clothing. I think that right now we're in a weird place with the whole video game industry. There's a lot of negativity about the future, and I understand it, and I think it's justified. But I think the companies that are going to thrive are the ones that are looking outside of just games and going, how can we sell these characters and keep them alive and keep people wanting to come in? And Paramount's nailed it and Illumination has nailed it with these, Sonic and Mario movies that I think have widened the audience for these properties. And companies are going to have to get creative. They're going to have to get games out because, like, Fallout is a great example. Like, Fallout has this hugely successful Amazon series, and there's nothing for anyone to play. It is the biggest wasted opportunity. And you can't tell people you're going to have a game to play in 10 years because no one cares. Like, no one wants to hear 10 years from now you'll have a Fallout game to play. It's like,
It's so fleeting. Like
it
every
is.
moment in the gaming industry is so fleeting. That's one thing that shocked me the most when I worked at when I used to do freelance work at Windows Central. My first day there, it was nonstop chaos, and then it was over. I'm like, what? How did it go from like it was 9 a.m. we had breaking news, and then it was 6 p.m. and everything was already done? Like that to me was the most shocking part of it all. Like you cover one thing, it's finished. The hype is gone within a few days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think we need the industry to move on from these games that take 15 years to make. Like, and what's unfortunate is I don't think a lot of people are going to get that message this year because Grand Theft Auto 6 is theoretically coming out at the end of the year. And it's going to sell like gangbusters. And people are going to go, oh, it worked on for 15 years and it worked out. And it's like, that's not going to be the norm. Like, this is going to be the rare exception. And I think you can point out where companies have figured this out. We talked about Resident Evil, and Capcom is the best example of this. Capcom has made Resident Evil like not a yearly series, but it's a near yearly series. Games come out, and they're good. If you keep, and they're not delayed. If you keep the quality high, and you keep the games coming out regularly, you will have a passionate audience that's there on day one. And all of a sudden, Konami figured this out, and we have Silent Hill as like a yearly series now. Like,
Exactly. Which we didn't never. I was so surprised because we never thought we were going to see Silent Hill ever again.
Right. But Konami went about their whole new phase very poorly with, canceling Silent Hills and whole, all the negativity about that and getting out of the industry for a while. Konami figured out earlier than anybody else, AAA gaming is in a really bad place. And the margins are way too thin, and you can spend 5-10 years making these games, and it comes out and it's forgotten immediately. And if you didn't sell X number of copies on day one, it's a flop. And so now all of a sudden they're outsourcing these games to dedicated partners where they're releasing them in a near yearly cycle, and people care and the games are selling. I think there's something to be said to that.
And that's the thing that happened with Silent Hill 2 remake. That was incredibly well received. Everyone was skeptical, myself included, because of everything that happened with Blower Team, like all the mishaps and stealing of content and everything that happened, and especially with the mistreatment of mental health in the medium. It was one of those things of where like I distinctly remember, and I'm holding myself accountable for this as much as I can. I remember absolutely loving the medium when it came out. I loved the message that they were. Yeah, I loved the message.
I didn't play the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's really one of those games of where it was tough to play through because there was so much that they didn't prepare you for ahead of time. And it's one of those games that I would highly recommend to people only if they are in therapy actively. But it's one of those moments of where it's just like, then I thought, wow, this is great. It's fantastic writing. But it wasn't until I was seeing actually a thread that my friend Gene Park was doing on Twitter at the time when I used to be on Twitter. And he was discussing how poorly the mental health was portrayed. And I took a step aside. I was like, let me try to look at this from a different angle. And I saw how poorly it was done. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is a new way to look at a video game. And it makes me like seeing other friends of mine who are in the industry, like yourself, like Gene, like other folks, and seeing how you guys write reformulates my brain and rewires it to think like, okay, I can't just look at it positively. I need to look at it in a way that is subjective, but also looks at it critically as well. And that's the thing I think a lot of people don't understand whenever it comes to games journalism as well, shifting topics a tiny bit. It's not just about being positive or kissing a company's ass. It's literally just about reviewing the game in a way where it's going to be the most beneficial for the player. Absolutely. And when I was reviewing the medium at the time, I did not understand that impact of pen to paper as a young journalist. I was just like, oh, I'm going to be positive.
I'm going to defend you here because, like, I haven't read your review, but it's difficult, right? Like, we go into, and like people don't understand this about reviews. You know, people want to be like, they want you to be like, oh, I want you to be subjective, and like that subjective reviews don't exist, right? Like, we all take our own experiences in. We can try our hardest. At the end of the day, like, you're going to get an opinion. Like, if you haven't gone through these same experiences as someone else, you're not going to convey that. And it doesn't make your opinion less valid. It's just that sometimes we get a different perspective. And in an ideal world, somebody else's opinion changes ours and makes us take it in and evolve and go, no, maybe I was wrong. I didn't pick up on that. You need to get that. And that's why it's great when there is variety and there are a bunch of different outlets writing and there are different people, because we can only bring so many experiences to the table when it comes to review.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's the thing too, of where it's like, you know, when it comes to potentially seeing Silent Hill 1 remade, never thought I would ever say that. It's going to be interesting to see how reviewers handle it and to see who gets a review code and what the entire ecosystem of the industry is going to be like. Like we mentioned before, it is so fleeting, it is ever changing. So I don't know what state the gaming industry is going to be in when that release drops and when that remake hits everything, because we could have an entirely positive, everything is happy-go-lucky ecosystem going on, or shit could just literally hit the fan.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell. I don't think we're that far from it though. Like, I don't think that game is going to release like 5 years away, because like I said, I think Konami has learned that they don't want that. I We're gonna get Townfall this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Silent Hill 1 remake is like 2028 at the latest. Like,
That's I mean, I just played the original for the first time a few years ago, and that was an interesting experience to say the least. Like, it was top down, it was dark, it was murky, it was everything I loved about a horror game. And that's the thing too, of where like, as long as they keep the spirit and essence of what makes that game beautiful, then you're gonna have a case like Silent Hill 2 remake where it was absolutely stunning.
I mean, listen, I like Bloober Team. I have always kind of been impressed with what they've been able to do on smaller budgets. Like, I liked Layers of Fear when that came out.
Layers of Fear was so good. I think
It was
I
good.
loved it.
And like, Eternal Darkness is one of my favorite horror games ever. And I got some Eternal Darkness vibes from it. So I thought that was cool. And when I heard people didn't like Bloober Team, I'm like, don't get it. And then, I learned a little bit more about people's impressions of the medium. I never finished the medium. I only played a little bit of it through Game Pass. And I did enjoy what I played, so I didn't get it until I dove in a little bit more and learned people's opinions. But I think Bloober Team is a good team, and on the whole, and it'll be interesting to see what they do.
No, but there's one other topic that I wanted to go into. Actually, there are two more topics I wanted to dive into today. Ethics in journalism when it comes to reviewing certain titles. Now, this is something that I have seen across all platforms, Reddit, Twitter, Bluesky, not on Twitter anymore. I needed to get out of that hellscape. But when it comes to reviewing certain games, there was one thing that I found interesting. I was talking with people on Bluesky, and I at first wanted to review Avowed. Then I found out, oh, this is a game that was made by Microsoft because we're currently under, Microsoft boycott. What are your opinions of reviewing games that we are currently boycotting a company for? Because I see a lot of people who are still reviewing Xbox games, and if this is a topic that you would prefer not to dive into, please just let me know.
No, I understand it. I think it's so hard, and it's hard too because I come at it from I was a staff writer for 6 years, so like you have some leeway with like what you can and can't object to, I guess. Like I was very fortunate that I had an editor that was kind of gave us a lot of freedom. You know, I don't think a lot of journalists have the ability to just say, well, I'm not ever reviewing an Xbox game. Like, I understand where people are coming from. I understand why they don't want that. And like, you can apply that to so many other games, like, right? Like Hogwarts Legacy is a perfect example. And it's such a tough thing where it's like, okay, this is my job and this is how I feel. Where can I find the middle ground?
Exactly. And
And
I feel fortunate to say, like, I don't write for a company. So, I mean, I'm just, I write for my own blog. So I don't have to write anything I don't want to, but I can't imagine the stress that some journalists are under when they are asked to write about a project that morally goes against what they believe.
right. And the thing is, like, when it comes to reviews, there's already a lot of like really stressful factors. I mean, stupidity of like review numbers. Like, I can't tell you how many times how much stress I've been under where it's like, do I give it a 4 or a 3.5? And like, you've written, 1,000 or 2,000 words about this game, and the thing that you're stuck on is like the thing that everybody's going to pay attention to, which is the number of all
It's so
things.
stupid.
It's so stupid, and I
It's
get
so
why.
stupid.
And it's so funny too because like that's another perfect example. Like Kotaku, and I don't know that they have stuck with this, but Kotaku got rid of the numbering system for their reviews
Whoa, I didn't know that.
several years ago. I don't know if they stuck with it. Like when it got announced, I'm like, that is both a great idea and a not great idea. Because on one hand, it's like that's what everybody debates and fights over and gets death threats to journalists and all kinds of silliness. Also, at the same time, you're kind of taking yourself out of the conversation.
Yeah, and it's a
It's
hard thing to try to balance because I remember when I did my first review, I did two reviews at Windows Central. One of them was for what was it, Outlast Trials, and I called out Red Barrels for what was it, misusing of the psychosis feature in Outlast Trials. Not too many people know this. I say it every so often just to give a context, but I have a degree in psychology.
okay.
And and whenever I go into a video game or whenever I go into a heavily psychologically rooted video game, I like to bring some of the expertise that I have from the degree that I have into what that review is.
And that
And this
connects
was
to what we were talking about earlier about how we bring in, know,
subjective, like,
yeah,
different pieces of critique that are unique to us. And I feel like with Outlast, it is all psychological. And whenever I reviewed that game, it was interesting because people were like, wow, thank you for calling that out. But that was the first time I actually felt like I didn't get much criticism for a review until I reviewed, oh gosh. And that was the first, what was it? That was the second review when I reviewed the Justice League, the ever so loved by many Kill the Justice League
oh,
game.
you got trouble for that?
I got in trouble for that because I gave it a 9 out of 10. Well, I couldn't give it a 9 out of 10 because that wasn't the score. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I really
Okay.
loved it. And not too many people were happy about that because they were just like, man, you're really getting people who can't review games over in Windows Central, huh? And it's like, it's all dependent on the person's experience with the game.
Absolutely.
The way that I saw it, and I will reiterate my point all over again for people who literally have the balls to try to attack me on here. God darn you. I always said that the reason I loved this game was because it got rid of the hero. The hero isn't going to be around all the time. It's not going to be the thing that keeps people safe all the time. And getting rid of the Batman erases the constant assumption that he's a forever character, because when we see DC characters, it's not like Marvel where they have superpowers and they can just come back from the dead. Marvel, DC for the most part is humans, and Batman is a human being, so he's not he's not impervious to being killed
Right.
at any point whatsoever. So losing that superhero, I think, is a wake-up call for DC fans in a way. And going that route in the story was very smart, I feel. And I just loved it overall. I loved the story. I loved the chaotic, funny nature that it brought. Like, for me, it was very witty and it was nice.
So so I didn't actually play that game. But
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're okay. But my problem with it, like I worked at comic books, so like I wrote about that game as part of the gaming team. So I wrote about that game a million times over, the controversies and the build up and the sales and whatnot. So I'm very familiar with it. I think to me it was more the gameplay just didn't excite me in the least, and which is why I didn't play it. Like I really liked. I did not finish the Arkham trilogy. I loved Batman Arkham Asylum. I loved Batman Arkham City. I never played Arkham Knight. I've owned Arkham Knight at least 2 platforms, and I still haven't played it.
Oh, wow.
But that is more like a Resident Evil game in its own weird way, like especially Asylum. Like the whole idea of like Kill the Justice League being kind of like an extraction shooter type thing. It just didn't. It was more that was more of a turn off for me than any of the anything else that was related to it.
I just didn't like, the one thing I really didn't like about it was the fact that Shark Boy was in the Justice League when in the comics he was never there to begin with. And I'm like, why did you replace Crocodile? What happened here exactly? Did you what lapse of judgment occurred? So, because there was a lot of inconsistencies with the comic books and with this game, I will say, that was my only real critique of it. But other than that, I mean, like, for me, Harley Quinn, amazing. The way that they did her character, she was, as always, who I expected her to be. When they brought the Joker in, that was when I thought it was forced, and I thought this is not working as well as I thought it was going to.
Yeah, I could see that, because then it was like him from a different universe and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just interesting because, like, whenever we go and we write about certain topics, was there ever a topic that, or a story or something that you covered where you felt very hesitant about writing it, but knew that you had to write it?
The only, I mean, I wrote about Hogwarts Legacy a couple times, and there was always kind of that sketchy feeling about it. And I don't like, no one ever pressured me to write about. I never reviewed it. But there's always that weird. I know that the audience wants to hear about this story, or if there's a sale or whatever. I also, there's that uncomfortableness because what J.K. Rowling stands for. So it's really hard, when you're a freelancer, you have so much more freedom versus when you are part of a staff and you kind of have, expectations that come with being a member of a team, right? Like, so that's the only time I've ever been in that kind of scenario. I've been fortunate with that sort of thing. I think the worst I've ever had is there have been a couple times where I was assigned reviews where it was not so much a moral quandary as it was like, I am not prepared to talk about this. Like, and that's to me, that's more intimidating when you go into something and you're like, because gamers will call you out if you are not intimately familiar with the material. A really good example is I reviewed NHL 26 for IGN last year, and it was the first time I had ever reviewed a yearly sports entry. And I was so intimidated doing it because, like, you you know that people know these games like the back of their hand. They buy it every year. They know every intricacy, and if you mess up detail, you're going to be called out. And thankfully, it ended up being a really great, process. I didn't have any, no one. I did not get one negative. I have to say, and I think part of it is the fact that I'm a man. I have never been called out for a review. No one has ever, never
Wait,
once,
really?
ever once.
Whoa, damn! I want to live in those shoes.
I know. I no. Okay. I think I was overly generous once to the Mario Golf that came out on Switch, and I think I got called out by a few people for that one, but nothing too bad as far as reviews. Um,
Interesting. Okay. I mean,
yeah,
that's
but again,
good
I'm a
though. I'm
man.
very happy for you that that's happened.
I feel guilty saying that, but like I know that women catch hell for reviews. The slightest detail is wrong, or even when you're not wrong, it's
That's the thing. I don't ever want you to feel bad for anything like that because the thing is that when it comes down to reviews and when it comes down to your opinion of a game, it's the way you played it. It's the way your lived experience with that universe is. So if people don't give you flack for it or anything like that, that's good. Never feel guilty about that sort of thing.
the worst I ever got, and it was not for a review. It was for a news piece. We had embargoed information about a game that was being announced, and there was a problem in the back end. It ended up getting published like 12 hours before it was supposed to.
Oh no.
It
Oh
was
God.
on the site, I swear to you, for 30 seconds before it got undone, and it was everywhere. And I was getting like I was getting various emails,
Uh,
the company involved, and I'm getting like DMs from strangers, like, you know why did this article get pulled? Why did you announce it? Why did you announce it ahead of time? And I'm like, oh,
no.
that was the worst. That was the worst I ever dealt with.
Oh God.
That was like, oh,
My
you
God,
know,
yeah,
it was
I had a
over.
similar
And
experience whenever I was at Game Informer and I was editing I edited the video footage together for the review of Assassin's Creed Mirage. Really cool experience. Love that I got to do that, but I accidentally left the volume a little bit too high on the music. So while it didn't register to me that there was anything wrong on Premiere Pro, when you had it on YouTube and when it compresses, it sounded like you could not hear the guy who was reviewing it at all. So they left it up. It was like not even a minute. They pulled it back down. And when they re uploaded it, they were like, we'll never forget that you guys pulled this. Like, I'm sorry. Okay.
it's so funny what ticks off the internet. Sometimes it's just the day. It's just like, oh, it's a slow day. This is what we're going to be angry about. I was an editor at Nintendo Joe, many years ago, and there was a review that went up ahead of embargo once too, and we pulled it immediately. And like the publisher and the PR folks were so awesome about it. Unlike the other situation, they were so awesome about it. We caught like hell from just random gamers who were like mad that this review went up early. You guys wanted to get reviews up before anybody else, and I'm like,
Oh my
that's
God.
not how anything works. Like, no one does that and goes, okay, this won't backfire on us spectacularly. Like,
I think the only review though that I could say with confidence that I have not gotten immense shit for was the one that I do free. I'm a contributor at Skybox, so I posted with the team a review. Which, by the way, shout out to my editor Lucas. He's absolutely fucking phenomenal, and Will Borger, phenomenal people.
I love Will.
I post. Yeah, he's fantastic.
I only know him through Bluesky, but he's great.
Yeah, no, he really is. And his honesty is like, Just chef's kiss. I love the way that he just speaks his mind, and I'm just like, you know what? I would catch so much flack if I said what you said, and I love that you said it for me.
Well, the thing is, and
But
like people don't. I'm sorry. I'm like, can I like aside here?
yeah, no, absolutely. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. I don't want to interrupt you. People don't realize like the majority of people like in this industry are so nice, like so nice.
Yes, and it's so huge, but it's so small at the same time. Like
Yes,
that's the thing. Like,
absolutely.
oh, but whenever I posted my review of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, I did not give it the best score. It was a very, very low score. Let me see if I can actually try to grab it again, because I am a big fan of the first game, and the second one was a major disappointment for me. Or like anytime I look at a review, oh, like the comments or whatever it is, even if there might be something good there, I have a preemptive like, what am I going to see? How is
Right,
this
your
going
heart
to
skips
go?
a beat. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's chaos that this is how certain people act in the gaming industry, of where we have grifters and we have certain folks who do this kind of thing. I'm trying to pick my words very carefully here. And I want to know your opinion on it, you know, in terms of Gamergate, in terms of what happens. And do you think that there is a potentiality for something like that to happen again, but with Grand Theft Auto 5? Because that could make or break what the gaming industry is.
So, Grand Theft Auto 5 is
Not
six,
Grand Theft Auto 5, number six.
six, right?
Yeah.
No, I almost did it earlier, and I don't, had one game in 15 years for that series. So, um, but yeah, GTA 6 is going to be such a weird. It's going to be I'm prepared. So many weird things that are going to happen with that game, because I don't want to say this. I don't want to be negative about a game that hasn't come out. I hope that it is everything everybody wants it to be.
Yes, I agree.
And you take, how long has it been 15 years?
Oh my God. Yeah, I
It's been
think
a
it has
long,
been.
it's something crazy like that. And you have that many years, expectations just go like this. If that game comes out and it's just okay, all the people who have charged, the Game Awards stage to ask where it is, or all the people who have been on German game shows and showed up weirdly and said, "Where's GTA 6?" It's gonna be a weird cultural inflection point, and I'm a little scared to see what happens, because like I don't I don't think you every game takes a long time. If there's a bad Zelda, I mean, I don't think there's been a really bad Zelda, but like, if there's a bad Zelda, okay, there's going to be a new Zelda in a few years. No, it's a disappointment. It's Resident Evil. Resident Evil had a bad period, for a little while there. People have been waiting like 15 years. If this game comes out, and there's going to be, and we're also in this grifter ecosystem where we're going to have people looking to claim something's going to be DEI in the game, or that, it's too woke, or it's not, I'm very, very, very curious to see how we as a culture handle this game.
Yeah, especially with that grifter economy taken into consideration, like you said, it's going to be weird. I mean, we know that the characters, I believe they're Puerto Rican who are
I think so,
facing
yeah.
the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is so fucking cool.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
excuse my French, but that is amazing. And it's so, like, how should I say this? They are not going to take away the happiness that I or anyone else will feel seeing the story evolve in that game and seeing the story and diversity and substance for what it is. But there is also something to be said, and this is actually an article I'm working on currently, of where GTA 6 has the potential to make or break the gaming industry as a whole. because that is the power that Rockstar currently possesses. I think with the remake of Red Dead Redemption, not remake, the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, we saw a massive shift in the industry for bigger, better, more story rich, more powerful, impactful games that were massive. I think that's why the reason we got Valhalla. That was the reason why there was games that extended to over 100 hours, Red Dead Redemption 2. And when we got GTA 5, it was the same thing, because when we saw GTA 5, we saw the massiveness, we saw the hilarity, we saw the humanity of characters. And if they don't bring that same energy for GTA 6, it's not going to be good, I don't think.
Yeah, there's so many storylines that I'm interested to follow. I'm interested to find out how much it's going to cost. I don't think it's going to be $100 game. Like, I don't think that that's real. Might be an $80 game, and I think people will happily pay it, or grudgingly pay it. It's going to sell. There's no question in my mind about that. As I said earlier, I want to know what lessons the industry learns. I want to know where we're going, because we're at a point where all the Western companies don't appreciate their workers. It's a really big problem for the industry, and it's very specifically a Western problem. Because if you look at Nintendo, if you look at Capcom, if you look at Square Enix, even who's got their own problems, but you look at Square Enix, all of these companies have employees that have been there 40 years now and worked on the original, Dragon Quest, or worked on the original Super Mario Brothers or Zelda, and they are training the new generation.
Yeah, exactly. They have a retirement plan.
Yes. We're at this point now where every other day it seems like there are mass layoffs at every Western company. And when you're constantly throwing out employees, you're sacrificing your future.
Yes, exactly.
You might have some success now. What does that look like 5 years from now? And you don't have the older guard training the newer one. So I'm so curious how everything shakes out. Like, I'm not, as I said earlier, I'm not a doomer about the industry. I think that there's going to be a gaming industry 5 years from now, 10 years from now, probably 20 years from now. But I don't know who's going to exist. I mean, Epic Games just fired 1,000 people, and in Fortnite, supposedly prints money.
Yeah, exactly. And not only this, the gaming industry is still incredibly young. For like it started in the 70s. And that's the thing, like even before then there were like small games that came out as 2-bit themed little things for kids. Right. But it was one of those things of where like real, like what we see now with the storylines and everything, it started in the 70s and then it progressed and it progressed. That is still incredibly young for an industry to be alive. What we are seeing right now, and this is just from my perspective, I don't want people to say that this is factual because it's not. It is a kind of an explosion, like when we blow air into a balloon. Balloon. I can't talk. There is going to eventually be a popping point. And I honestly, in my opinion, I think GTA 6 is going to be that popping point for good or for bad. But we also have like companies like NeoWiz, for example. Like they still have all the same people who are on their company and all their team as when they first went into making Lies of P, as they did their DLC. And right now it's unfortunate that it's unheard of for people to be kept on long term, even for just the continuation after one project at a game company. I think that has to do a lot with COVID because a lot of people were hired on in COVID and then everyone was laid off. So companies were seeing that trend and doing the same. But I don't know exactly what the popping point other than GTA 6 is going to be, other that we're going to see like things come out or leaked out from companies, from whistleblowers as a possibility. My thing is like, I think that it's all political. And it's all being pushed. Like the layoffs don't really need to happen, and they're just happening because of political reasons.
Oh, I mean, I think going back to Epic Games is a perfect example. Like Did Epic Games need to lay off 1,000 people because of Fortnite? No, no, of course not. I think we have a lot of employees that are taking the hit for bad CEOs that aren't making the decisions that are steering these companies because they all have parachute plans and they there's no investment anymore. They don't care about these companies as they don't see themselves as shepherds for these companies anymore. And I think when you look at the Japanese companies, they do. They still recognize that. And it's so funny because Nintendo has this reputation as being this cutthroat capitalist company. And they are incredibly protective of their intellectual property to a point where it's absurd. But you don't hear about mass layoffs at Nintendo, and you see them investing in their older talent and their newer talent, and they're not buying companies for in billion-dollar deals and then shuttering them in 2 years because they put them on a project that was this is one thing that frustrated me so much about Sony is Sony went all in, and I know that they're a Japanese company, but I think PlayStation is kind of this weird kind of middle ground. We saw PlayStation buy companies and put them on all these live service projects, and then when live service clearly didn't have the support to exist, to make these games thrive, what did they do? They shuttered these companies that they had just bought.
Exactly. I
I
mean,
think
Blue
those
Point is a
that
perfect
era.
example.
What's up?
Blue Point is a perfect example.
Yes, it is. It is. It's a perfect example, and something has to change. We're going to get to a point where there might be some crazy crash, and there's going to be some companies that don't get out the other side, and the ones that are preparing for the future, and the ones that are making investments in their characters beyond gaming and looking for ways to get games out quicker and keep series interesting and alive. I think that's going to be it's not going to be one thing. It's going to have to be a few things. I don't think the industry can exist as it does right now.
No, and that's the thing too of where like you would think that making incredible remakes and making incredible IPs would secure and lock your place in the industry so you could have a secure future, but apparently it doesn't. And that's the
No.
thing that's really upsetting because there's so much talent, so many talented people, so many people who deserve the world. I mean, like I'm going to go with the example of Blue Point because they were responsible for the remake of, what was it? One of the best Souls games, Demon Souls. Like they were responsible for bringing that to the PS5. And
Right.
it just is so mind-boggling that so many don't have a job right now who and it's I don't know, it's just strange to me that that company along with even Xbox, we're seeing massive layoffs what it feels like
Yeah,
every single day.
it does.
Yeah, what do you? I also am curious though what you think about Project Helix at the moment. I saw that PR was sent out to a few content creators earlier yesterday, and I think the day before, if I'm not mistaken. But I want to know what your viewpoint is on what that project could represent for Xbox going forward. Because my view is that they're getting ready to sundown or sunset, however the term is.
Boy, I wish I knew. The thing with Xbox is that like they are impossible to predict. I every day I think I have like a grasp on what's the future of that company, and then the next day I'm thrown for a complete curveball. And it's so funny because the Xbox Series X is the first Xbox I have ever purchased. I know, and I got in at like the worst point. I legitimately really like the hardware, and I actually really like playing on it, but it's just such chaos over there at all
Yeah.
times.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know that Project Helix ever comes out. I want to believe it does. I think the industry is stronger for having Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox all out there, but I don't think Xbox has an identity anymore, and I don't think they know what they want it to be. And I think that's the struggle. I think that's the struggle because I think at like Phil Spencer had them all on this like we're going to make Game Pass the identity of Xbox and we're going to be everywhere and nowhere, and it didn't work. And now it's like they're throwing it out and it's like, okay, well what now? And I don't know. And like the sad thing is I liked the idea of being able to access Game Pass games and your save files anywhere. I used it quite a bit. But like I said, Xbox has no identity. And I think when you have no exclusives either, that hurts. They have Xbox makes good games. Like, honestly, if I stack up Xbox's first party games from the last 6 years versus PlayStation's, I'm gonna go with Xbox. I'm gonna go with Forza and Indiana Jones. And like I don't care about Halo and I don't care about Gears, but I like Forza. I loved Hi-Fi Rush, which don't even get me started on that whole disaster with selling Tango Gameworks.
I, I
Oh,
no, I that made me so sad because I thought now I will never get the Evil Within 3.
right, right. So that whole disaster. But even still, the hardware was nice to use, and I liked some of the games they put out. I've been very hard on PlayStation this generation. I think PlayStation has really dropped the ball this generation. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. Um, but man, I have no idea at any given point. And it's so funny because I do think Xbox being such a disaster has insulated PlayStation from being attacked more, like being called
I,
out for more of their
I
mistakes.
yeah. I think it's one of those things of where, the biggest thing for me, because like I started playing Xbox in the was the Xbox One era when I graduated from college in 2016. God, I'm just realizing that's 10 years ago. No, no, just no. Uh, I remember whenever I first started content creation was in 2016. Like I actually just had my 10-year YouTube anniversary on April 5th, and it was
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate that. It's one of those cool things of where it's like I played it not knowing what I wanted to play on it. Like just thinking, okay, I want to go into variety. I want to try different things. And the first one that I tried on there was Gears Ultimate Edition, and I fell in love with Gears of War. Then I played Ori and the Blind Forest, and that forever changed me. Like it was an incredible experience. So I don't, and this is where my opinion comes in. I don't think Xbox is as consumer focused anymore. I think they're more focused on being a publishing company than anything else, really, because when it comes down to it, what is Helix going to bring to the table that Sony, the Steam machine, even Steam Deck, Nintendo aren't already providing for
Yeah.
everyone? Like they need to find a new angle in order to really go in on consumers and say, okay, here's what we have. We're going to drop the $30 a month because why in this
Right.
economy? Why?
Yes.
It's just no. And also the fact of where it's like be less AI focused. I would
Yes.
like
Oh,
right now. I would love to see them not be as AI focused. I would love to see them just get out of the tech for the war and be associated with
for
that.
sure.
That way, consumers can purchase the games that they are getting from Xbox without sending their money
Right.
elsewhere.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
so it's one of those things of where like a lot of these conversations include nuance. A lot of these conversations include understanding both edges of it. But I don't know. I just want to be able to see Xbox be more consumer reliable. But I know people are going to hate that I'm saying this, but Nintendo feels more consumer driven nowadays than Xbox does with their
Absolutely.
release of making Fire Red and Leaf Green only $20. Like they could have charged easily $60 for both of them.
I'm glad that they didn't. I had hoped when the because those games leaked like 24 hours, I think, before they released.
Yes.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I was prepared. I'm like, they're gonna be $20. It should be 15. And then they came out and it was $20. I'm like, I'm gonna pay it. I wish it was $5 cheaper, but you take what you can
Fair.
get.
And that's the thing too of where it's like, I have to bring up the hypocrisy of the gaming industry for a bit. We love the fact that an indie game like Silk Song is selling for $20, but we don't like it when Nintendo, a notoriously expensive company, is selling their game for $20.
Now, yeah, but on the flip side, we're talking a 22-year-old game versus,
This is true. This is true. I will say. Yeah.
Right.
No, it's true. And that's the thing of where it's just like, I feel like Nintendo, out of all of the companies I've seen, profits off of nostalgia immensely. they have the most profit off of what the what people of the millennial era loved. And they're just saying, oh, okay, well, we can make money off of their nostalgia.
But one thing I like about Nintendo is that Nintendo doesn't, so you can cash in by making a bad product, but they don't. And that's the thing about Nintendo. I have had to hear for the last 9 years that Nintendo doesn't care about Star Fox. Can I spoil the Super Mario Galaxy movie?
I would think so. I'm going to be putting a spoiler warning right over the video right now anyway.
I'm sure that everybody knows the fact that Fox McCloud is in, because they put him on posters. So Fox McCloud from Star Fox is in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I've had to hear for 10 years now that Nintendo doesn't care about Star Fox. They hate Star Fox. They're over Star Fox. We just had a Mario movie where Fox McCloud upstages every Mario character. And now the rumor is oh, we're getting a new Star Fox this year. So Nintendo does kind of I don't want to say weaponize. They do take advantage of people's nostalgia, but they're strategic about it. And I'm a Metroid fan. Metroid's another one I've had to hear for years. Oh, Nintendo doesn't care about Metroid, and then all of a sudden, Metroid Dread gets announced, and it's a new 2D Metroid, and it's awesome, and it's the big holiday game, and it gets Game of the Year nominations and stuff. So Nintendo is very funny in that yes, they will take advantage of nostalgia, but they will also wait until they're ready to pounce. They won't just throw out crap because people are begging for it.
You know what's interesting? Actually, I just realized it's something that Marquise Brownlee, he's a tech YouTuber, and he creates amazing tech videos, amazing tech reviews. There's something he said that was really interesting about Apple, and it goes in line with what we're talking about with Nintendo. Actually, he discussed how when the time is right, Apple will pounce on the technology that has already been thought out and polished. I think Nintendo kind of does the same thing. When it comes to the right time, in the right time in the industry, right place, they will say, okay, now we can jump on this. Now we can actually afford to be well, Star Fox, now is the time, better to leave that. And we always want to criticize a lot of companies. And I want to make it perfectly clear for people who are listening and watching. I'm criticizing these companies because I enjoy what these companies bring to the table. I feel like if we don't criticize the companies that we care about and want to see these really cool games from, then we don't care about the industry. I know that's harsh to say, but criticizing comes along with caring in a constructive way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, you nailed it.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to understand that there's a difference between, God, I'm going to sound like a bitch right now, but there's a difference between what the grifters do in criticizing and critiquing versus how we criticize and critique. We are doing it with care. They are doing it with hatred. So just so people understand the difference.
and that's the thing. And it's unfortunate because so many gaming journalists have dealt with for years, being accused of being on the take and being, all these other things. And when the reality is most people that work these jobs don't make a lot of money at all whatsoever. And, meanwhile, people who are of the influencer variety are getting paid hand over fist. And meanwhile, they have, deals in place where, they're getting paid to hawk these things to their viewers.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, speaking of influencers, so many people will be like, oh, you're a YouTuber, aren't you an influencer? I'm like, I am a content creator. I am not an influencer because I don't influence people with anything that they do. The only way I could say that I influence, and I've seen this firsthand, which makes me very happy, is that someone saw my review of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. They took it off their wish list because they were like, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to play this right now. I'm like, okay. I like this. This isn't
awesome. I just said on Blue Sky just like a week ago, I think, like a few days ago. Like I don't know that I have ever that anybody has ever read my review and gone, I'm not going to buy that, or I'm going to buy that because he said, So I've always kind of wondered that. Like I know that I influenced myself. Like I talked myself into re-downloading Super Mario Run. I know that I influenced myself. I don't know that I influence others, but I hope I do. It's the
No, I
hope,
know.
right?
I mean, the thing is that like you write with clarity and you write with understanding and empathy. So I feel like there are people who are bound to be influenced by your writing. So I wouldn't worry about that
Oh, thank you. I
at all.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and listen, I am here to give my fellow journalists flowers. Okay, this is a non-negotiable. Well, one thing I actually am curious about as we end off the podcast, I want to know what is a game that you feel like doesn't get enough praise that you want people to know about more.
That's a good question. Let me think. Let me think on this one. What's a game that doesn't get enough praise? There's a lot of games that I love that like you'll only kind of find like a random person that really likes it. Stupid NHL hits games on from GameCube, PS2, Xbox were so fun. Like fun arcadey hockey. I've always loved those. Because like the more sim based hockey where it's like, more intense, like it only does so much for me. Like Eternal Darkness is one of my favorite horror games ever. It's a shame it only got released one time and never again.
I even told
Um,
people on Blue Sky, like, we need next from Blober Team a proper remake of Eternal Darkness.
Absolutely. And supposedly they're working on something with Nintendo. So we'll see. Another good one is Bayonetta Origins. It was on Switch. No one bought that game. It was a prequel to the Bayonetta games, but it was like in the storybook style, and it was not like a traditional action game. It had like this watercolor paint to it. It was kind of a game for no one. And I reviewed it, and I was like 10 minutes in, and right away I'm like, I don't think this game is gonna be for me. And it's the job, you tough it out. And by the end, I'm like, oh my god, that game was terrific. And then no one bought it, like no one talked about that game. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer. Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's interesting because like as you were saying that, I was trying to think of like which ones I would pick, but Frambo is the first one that comes to my mind immediately. Like it's just an incredible journey of a game. Like you see a lot of the mental health struggles that Frambo deals with on top of dealing with this like you know, otherworldly reality that she's concocted in her brain, and it's a 2D side scroller, but it's
I love
just so
side scroll.
phenomenal. They're so good. Oh my god, it's so good. Another
Have
one
you
that
Oh sorry,
oh go ahead.
have you ever played a normal Lost Phone?
A normal lost. No, I have not.
So that's an indie game. I reviewed it. Oh god, I reviewed that like early in the Switch era, so it had to be like 2017, 2018. And the idea is that you find somebody's phone and all the gameplay like is around going through this person's phone to find out who it is. And like some people have talked about like the ethics of like there's like kind of a voyeurism to it. But the story is really it's like a 3 hour game. And I was really blown. It really kind of felt like this is like the story that kind of story that only the gaming industry can tell. I walked away really impressed, and it deals with trans issues, and I was really I was really impressed with that. That one was one that I like walked away from like kind of wowed.
Interesting. I'll have to check it out because I've never heard of that game.
Yeah, I think they actually made like a couple. I think they made like another Lost Phone was like the sequel or something like that.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
have to check it out. But I'm glad
yeah.
it's in the video so I can reference it when I'm in post production.
Awesome.
Um, but yeah, another one that I really enjoyed, and I think it's just because it was my first time playing it, and I'm still thinking about it, was Armor Core 6: Fires of Rubicon, and that was my first time ever playing an Armor Core game. And I feel like it needs to be as hyped up as Elden Ring because the way that they have the Moonlight Greatsword in that game, It just amazed me. And I love the fact of where you see from Software's soul's DNA and the bosses and the certain items that you get. I know that Patches was in a previous Armored Core game. I think it was Armored Core 2 that he was in there. So he's just this constant reminder of just annoyance. And he's just like a cat. He's always willing to kick you over the next hill. So I love that. I just love that energy. Another one that I would highly recommend, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. It's a free game, but it's called Serena, and it's a horror game. Goes in tandem, not made by the same people, but it goes in tandem with Aria. I believe it's a game from Thailand, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a horror game and it's really good. It goes on the story from 3 different perspectives, and it's fantastic. It kind of gives like Outlast vibes, but indie game Outlast vibes, it's really fun.
Nice. I love horror, so that's one of my genres.
Same here. Like I love psychological horror. Whenever it comes to anything that has to do with like even the Evil Within. Evil Within is probably my favorite horror game of all time. But the last topic that I want to dive into is what would be your biggest advice for people who want to dive into games journalism, who don't care about the current state of the gaming industry, who I know, who want to be able to dive into this industry knowing everything without the rose-colored glasses on?
So it's so funny because like I went to school for journalism, and when I graduated, one of the things that we were told like throughout was like, better be sure that you're into this. Like, because like get out now while you can. And it was so funny because journalism was in a better state and it's now like it's so, and I don't even think like my teachers or professors knew how bad it was going to get. I honestly think if you are honest and you are passionate, you just this is a terrible piece of advice. I don't want to say this, but I got in writing for free, and I don't think anybody should just give away work. But if you're passionate about it and you want to, sometimes you do what you have to do for a little bit of money, or because you're getting a code and you build up a resume from there. And if you stick with it and you're kind, and you help elevate your peers, and I think sometimes things happen, and it's such a tough time. Like I said, I came up starting at Nintendo Joe where it was no pay, but it was like, hey, I'm doing this on top of my full-time job, just because it's a passion project. And I was excited that I was getting review codes and, review copies of games. Like, that was so cool to me. And now I also look back and I'm like, I get it's not great to sell yourself short.
No. Especially like when you're in the beginning and you don't know any better.
Right.
It's okay. But once you understand like the method behind the madness a little more, then it's like, okay, I can afford to charge a little more now.
Right. So I guess my advice is just if you're passionate about it, do it. And if you can't find a site, start one, or start a YouTube channel, or just start small and see where it takes you. And if you are that dedicated and that passionate about it, it will probably open some doors.
That's, you're exactly saying the journey I went through when I got into games journalism, because I started in 2016 as an editor for different Twitch people and different other creators. And I was doing videos for like $20 a video. It was nothing. Like, I just wanted to get my foot in the door and edit for people and like create their own like stories on their YouTube channel. And that was it. My first thing was in Game Informer, and then that was in 2022, I want to say. And then it went into Windows Central, and then just last year, I've been now at IGN for a year as a freelancer, so that's the most recent thing I got. And I went without a job for quite a while while I was searching for things. So that's also a common thing too, I want to say, is that you will go without work in this industry. So just be realistic, I would say, and have a backup while you are searching for things in the industry that you love.
What's really funny is that, so on top of covering video games for as long as I have written comics. And my wife has always been a massive supporter of my writing and stuff. And for the longest time, she was like, I think the comics thing is going to take off for you. And I don't think the video game thing is where you should be putting your energy. And and I got hired full time at Comic Book covering video games, and it was so funny because like she bought me a cookie cake and like we wrote on it like video games will never be a career, and like so we could literally eat her words, like it was like this,
I love it.
yeah, and it's just sometimes life takes you on weird journeys, and you do have to have backup plans. I've gotten to be a published comic author, and I love it, but like I don't know that I'll ever be able to support my family doing that. And I was able to do that with video games for several years. So it's tough now. Will I be able to in the future? Will other people? Who knows? We don't know this industry. We don't know what's going to happen.
But Mark, I've just loved our time talking. This has been so much fun. Oh my goodness gracious. Anytime you want to come back on the podcast, you are more than welcome to. And also, just because I'm very, very curious now, and I've asked this before of other podcasters, people, the human side come on my podcast. I don't know what to call it. We are all just little Luigis going throughout life.
Right.
But okay, you're having a pizza party. I want to know what kind of pizza you're going to have and what game characters you are going to invite.
I mean, listen, I like other toppings, but I feel like if you're going to have a party, you got to go cheese pep, right? Like, I mean, I feel like that's, that's what everybody loves. It's the standard. It's pizza, right? Like, yeah, I'm going cheese pep. Game character that I would invite. Oh, that's tough.
Yoshi. No, sorry.
I talk a lot, so I'd probably go with like Link because he's more on the silent side. Because I'm kind of verbose, and like if it's too many verbose people, it's probably gonna be too much. I'd probably go with Leon. Leon's always a good time. Leon S. Kennedy would be a good one. That's tough. Pizza party. I'd probably have to have Pikachu there.
Oh yeah.
If we're gonna wish for wishes, I'd love Charmander, but I just feel like I don't have enough fireproofing for that. So,
oh gosh. Oh gosh. Honestly, if I'm bringing 2 pizzas because there are a lot of people in my life who are vegan. So we're gonna have a vegan pizza, and we're going to have a cheese, broccoli, and mushroom pizza because that's I feel like if Leafeon is going to be there, who I'm inviting, she'll like the broccoli. So I'm going to do Leafeon, but I'm also going to have Jill Valentine there because she's an OG badass.
I swear I was going to say Jill. And I regret not saying Jill.
Jill Valentine's an OG. She's amazing. I'm going to have that.
You got to have sandwiches if you're going to have Jill there.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? That is going to be a running joke the entire evening, and she's going to hate me by the end of it.
Oh, I'm so mad.
God, what? I would. Hollow Knight. I'm inviting. So he can get the dust off of the top of the roof. Let's see. Or actually because I found out, I didn't know this, by the way, that Hollow Knight was created with the intention that it's a they, them, not a he or a she. I didn't know that until recently. Sam from Death Stranding. Absolutely.
Okay. Nice.
Oh gosh. Who was the other one that I wanted to invite? There was one other one that I had in my head that was gone. Wait a second, I'm looking at my collectible. Oh, Artorias.
Okay.
Because
you had some good picks all lined up.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting because like anytime I think of a pizza party, I need to have people of like different mental varieties. Like I want to be able to say to this person, I love whatever's wrong with you. Like I just want to be able to have your energy here and present at this pizza party. Because I feel like both of our parties together combined would be absolutely chaotic.
Absolutely.
But Mark, thank you again so much for joining me on this podcast. If you all like our faces and what we do, please be sure to subscribe. Just know that on my other channel, which is my main one, Huggable Hipster, we are getting very, very close to 5,000 subscribers. I am nervous, but very, very excited for this milestone. I hope you guys join me on there, and we are very close to getting to 200 subscribers on this channel. So join me for the celebration that's going to be coming up on my other channel. Subscribe to this one, and may your coffee treat you well and life give you a nat 20. I will see you all in the next one. Bye, you guys.